If your profit looks off, your reports don't make sense, or you're constantly fixing transactions, the problem probably isn't Zoho, it's how you're categorizing your transactions. In this video, I'm going to walk through the 5 most common mistakes I see business owners make in Zoho Books when it comes to categorizing their transactions and exactly how to fix it so your reports actually tell you the truth. Hey everyone, my name is Stephanie Smith and I am a Zoho Finance Partner at New Light Financial Solutions. Here at New Light Financial Solutions, we are on a mission to help demystify business finances as well as partner with as many business owners as possible to help them have a growing and more profitable business. Thank you so much for joining us on our YouTube channel today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Now let's dive in. So the first mistake that I want to walk through is picking the wrong category. It's really easy to pick the wrong thing in Zoho because there's a lot of different options. So when you're categorizing your transactions and you're on your bank feed, let's say you select a transaction, this one's for software. The first thing you need to do is pick a category. This is going to determine what other accounts from your chart of accounts you can pick. So in this video, I'm going to focus on expenses, but I do want to point out that you might also be using like sales returns or card payments or owner's drawings. So be mindful that not everything is available under the expense option. When you do pick expense, you will want to pick the expense account. So there's a couple of different categories and you can see the headers here at the top in bold. So I've got my cost of goods sold accounts. Then I have my regular expense accounts. And if I scroll down, I have liability accounts, fixed asset accounts, and other current asset accounts. So it's really important that you pick the right account because what you pick will determine where things show up on your reports. Your cost of goods sold and your expense accounts will show up on your profit and loss in different places. And then if we scroll down, our liability accounts and asset accounts will show up on our balance sheet. So make sure that you select not only the right account. So for this example, I'm going to pick office supplies. You might categorize this under software subscriptions or software, but you also want to make sure that you do it the same every single time and be consistent. So if you're looking if you're looking at your reports month over month, that this subscription will fall into that same category. One way to do that is to make sure that you pick the right vendor. So when you are selecting your vendor, make sure you pick the vendor or add a vendor and select the same vendor every single time. Adding vendors is helpful for a few different reasons, but making sure you're categorizing consistently is one of those. So make sure you pick a vendor. If you aren't sure how you categorized this last time, there's a few different ways you can do it. Honestly, Zoho doesn't have the best ways to look up previous transactions, but what I like to do is to either look in the all transactions section to see if I have already categorized something. You typically using the Control F option and searching for it. This search function doesn't really do a great job for searching with the descriptions. The other thing you can do is look on your reports, in your past reports, or you can look for the vendor. So a lot of the times I'll go into purchases and I'll go find that vendor. And if you find the vendor you're looking for, you can see the transactions and under expenses, what other things show up here that have been categorized. And you'll see the expense account right here. I know there's none listed on this particular page, but you'll see what account was used last time to make sure that you use the same account this time. So your goal isn't just to get it entered, it's to make sure your reports are meaningful. So use consistent accounts and the right accounts. The second mistake that I want to talk through is mixing personal and business expenses. My number one piece of advice is try to separate personal and business expenses as much as possible. However, I know stuff happens and you might accidentally swipe your personal card for a business lunch, or you might swipe your business card for a personal expense. So it's important to make sure that these get categorized correctly so your reports are correct, and of course your taxes and stuff can get done appropriately. So let's say that I made a purchase and it was a personal expense. So this wasn't actually for the business, but this was on my business card. When you're categorizing transactions, the category you're going to pick is owner's drawings, because that's money you're taking out of the business. It's a drawing. The to account will be a drawings account. You will have different accounts probably than I have here, but it's important to show that you are drawing this out of the account. This transaction will show up on your balance sheet and not on your profit and loss as an expense. The other side of that scenario is if you're using a personal card for a business expense. You can't do that through the bank feed because you didn't use a bank card, but you would go over to purchases, click expenses, and you will need to add a new expense. You'll pick your expense account. Let's say it was for parking, and your amount that you paid, and then your paid through account will be a equity account. So this is money you're putting into the business. It is not necessarily an expense, but it is a contribution. And then you will save that, and you will see this show up on your balance sheet and not on your profit and loss, just like the other one. The third mistake I want to walk through is not splitting transactions and just logging the entire expense to one place. Maybe you had one receipt that includes multiple items. So what you'll want to do is, as you are recording transactions, let's say I went to the gas station and I bought food and gas. This is just one example. When you want to categorize this, you will click this itemize option, and you'll be able to pick more than one account. So maybe I had part of this is gas, and then the other part of this is going to be meals, and you can split this up however you want. So let's just say I had $100 in gas and $34.67 as a meal, and I want this to show up on my books in two different places. This is how you would do that, and then you would click the save option. On your report, if I pull up my profit and loss, you will see my automobile expense here and my meals here. And if I click into this, you will see that one transaction. If I click into this expense, you will see that it actually pulls up that full amount and this split on this page as well as the journal entry. You can see the different accounts here, automobile versus meals and entertainment. So the takeaway here is that you need to split when you need clarity, especially when some of your cost belongs to COGS and other belongs to overhead. Another really common example that I see this not being done is when you have loan payments. So you need your principal amount to go to your loan, and you need your interest amount to go to an interest expense account. You can use this feature to do that as well. And you need to do this to make sure your reports are accurate and things are getting logged the right way. The fourth mistake I want to walk through is categorizing instead of matching. So let's say that you have an invoice payment. You've entered that payment separately on the invoice, marked it as paid, but when the deposit comes in through the bank account, you don't make that match to that payment. What you end up doing is creating a duplicate on your books. This is also true, I see often with bill payments. So you put in a bill, you make a bill payment in the system, but when the transaction comes through, you just go ahead and categorize it to an expense account. You end up with two items on your book, and it creates these duplicates. So I'm going to show you how this shows up. So let's say I have this deposit here. You can see I have a customer payment in here, but maybe for some reason you don't see this. You end up categorizing it manually. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, but let's just say I categorize it as sales without invoices, and I stick it in my sales account. And let's say I don't do anything else. I'm going to click save. And then I just log that to my books. But what really happened? If I look at my all transactions here, you'll see I just logged sales without invoices, and you'll see my customer payment for $37.50. Both of them are here, and I know they shouldn't be. So when I look at my reports and I go to look at my profit and loss later, and I open up my sales account, what happens? I've got an invoice here, the original invoice, and then I have the sales without invoices. So this is really important because it's now saying that I've made double, and when you go to file taxes later, you're going to end up paying taxes on double the amount of revenue. Again, this also happens a lot when you enter bills and expenses. You might end up with two sets of expenses on your books as well. When you go to reconcile later, this is also an issue because you won't have two transactions to actually pick on the reconciliation. So that would also mess things up if you force that reconciliation through. So the takeaway here is if it's already in Zoho, you need to match it. But if it's new, you should categorize it. So if I wanted to fix this, I'm going back to my banking tab, into my account. If I go to my all transactions, this one that I categorized, I'm going to uncategorize it. And then I will go to the uncategorized transactions now, find that transaction and match it to the payment instead. The fifth mistake that I want to walk through is mishandling refunds and vendor credits. And I have a whole nother video on how to enter credit memos and refunds. So if you need more details on this, I would encourage you to go check out that video. But essentially, if you say you have a vendor credit, so a vendor refunds a charge of yours, like this, for example, here on my bank account, I got a deposit for a bank reversal fee. There's two ways you can go about doing this. What you don't want to do is, because this is a deposit, you don't want to categorize it as a deposit because then that's going to put like sales on your books. What you want to do is categorize it as an expense refund and then pick the account that it would come out of. So like bank fees and charges. So on your profit and loss, it will reduce the amount of that particular category. Another option is to put in a vendor credit, and you can match this to the vendor credit. So again, making sure it goes into the right category. So that's one way to do vendor credits. When it comes to refunds, those are a little different. So let's say I have a customer refund, which is a withdrawal. I'm giving money back to someone. What you'll want to do is not log this as an expense. Refunds should not be logged as an expense, but you will want to make sure that your sales reduces by this amount because you are giving money back from a sales account. So you'll see here that I've already put in a credit note on here, but you'll go over to sales. My preferred and recommended way is to start from your invoice, select whatever invoice you're looking to refund, create a credit note, and create a credit note from that particular invoice. You'll see that show up here on the credit notes. To make it a refund, you specifically have to open the credit note back up and click refund and pick the date that your refund might come through and the account as well. And then when you go to categorize your transactions, if I select that, you'll see now it's a credit note refund. So make sure that you are selecting the refund option, and I will show you where this shows up on your reports as well. So if I open up my profit and loss and I open up my sales, you now see the refund from the credit note here in my sales. If you would have just logged it as an expense, it wouldn't have reduced your sales by that amount. So if you're giving a lot of refunds, I think it's important to make sure these are on your books correctly because it does reduce your taxable income from what sales you are making because you're returning that sales amount. The takeaway here is refunds will reduce your expenses and not increase your income. And vendor credits are actually the opposite of that. So those are 5 of the biggest expense mistakes that I see when cleaning up Zoho Books accounts. And if you fix these, your reports will finally reflect reality and not chaos. I know there's a lot going on in Zoho Books. It's really easy to make mistakes. So if you find that you need help with other things, I encourage you to watch some of the other videos that I've created. And if you're looking for one-on-one support for help with your books, please book a call with us and we can open up your books, see what's going on, and help you directly with your challenges. And if you're looking for more tips on how to keep more of what you make, please sign up for our newsletter where you'll get resources and information you won't find anywhere else. I hope that this was helpful, and I'll see you again on the next one.